Okay, folks, before we get into the episode, content warnings abound for this one because we're discussing Citizen Vigilante, which is a horrible movie which talks about horrible things, and so consequently, we are going to have to talk about horrible things too. So just be aware of that.
Well, if these are your values, that women in America and Europe deserve to be raped because of a dress code, then why did you come here?
You know that we have several wars in our country and we have a dangerous life. That's why we are here. And I think you know that.
Do you know what I think?
Why?
I don't think it was the good ones that got out of your country. I think it was the bad ones. And I think you brought with you your archaic value system and your commitment to religion over democracy and over anything else, including the rule of law.
I know writers who use subtext, and they're all cowards.
I thought you'd appreciate that.
And welcome back to I Don't Speak German, the podcast that is this one. Daniel, how are you doing?
Well, I did rewatch bits of Citizen Vigilante today, so not great.
Not so great.
Yeah. I mean, given the state of the world, watching a little bit of a bad movie is, not the worst thing I've done for this podcast. It's in fact probably one of the better things I've done for this podcast. But every day is a challenge, and I don't speak German land, so we're good.
And the news hasn't been all bad today.
Yeah. Are you referring to Lindsey Graham? is that the
now? Would I joke about the death of a human being, Daniel? Would I?
Yes, you would.
I suppose I would, wouldn't I? Yeah.
If it's Lindsey Graham, I think you might. But
yeah. I'm just hoping that this run of bad luck that Graham's seem to be having runs out, or at least runs out after it gets to Graham Linehan.
Fair, yeah, no, that would be the good things come in threes. That would be fine with me. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He gets testicular cancer or something.
Well, that's pretty hardcore. I was just thinking, he gets thrown off X again, or loses that payout he just had, or something like that. You just jumped straight to cancer of the balls.
I think given the turfiness, I think testicular cancer is something that I want it to be curable, but I definitely want him to have to think very seriously about losing his balls. That's the thing that I land on.
Yeah, something that would require him to have gender affirming surgery. That would
absolutely,
be certainly
absolutely, yes.
Ironic. Yeah. Anyway, this is episode 146, and I'll just ease us in with some funny stuff I found, because I'm always on the lookout for amusing ways to introduce these episodes. So what I did was I thought it would be amusing to take the piss out of AI. So I went to AI and I asked AI interesting things about the number 146. And I got some very interesting, you're the one that knows about maths, right? So you'll be able to tell me if any of these answers are correct. AI told me that 146 is a semi-prime. It is the sum of two consecutive prime numbers, 71 and 75. Is that correct?
I think AI had did not know the definition of semi-prime. It's kind of where I land on that. So 71 and 75 do add to 146. That is true. But 75 is not prime, and that is not the definition of a semi-prime. So that's where I land on that.
So it's meta wrong. I love it.
Yeah.
So I'll cut to the chase. There's lots of other math stuff in the results that AI returned to me. It says that 146 is an octahedral number, the number of spheres that can be packed into a regular octahedron with six spheres along each edge. But I got some really interesting results. According to AI, the number 146 is a palindrome. The number 100, I'm quoting now, the number 146 reads the same forwards and backwards, which is a palindrome.
That is the definition of a palindrome, but
that is what a palindrome is.
I don't know how that's true. Yeah, AI is this is the stuff that AI is supposed to be pretty good at, right? This
I know, right?
all like mathy stuff that's just like on the internet forever. So hopefully, yeah, no, this is terrible.
There are a couple more if you'll indulge me.
Sure, go ahead.
One of the results that it gives back is lightsabers, and under that heading it says, in the Star Wars universe, 146 is the number of lightsabers in the Clone Wars series. Now, I don't know that that's wrong, but I'm pretty sure that that's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a big enough of a Star Wars nerd to be able to answer that question, but yeah, that doesn't. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm sure we have a listener who knows the answer to that question. Right in, sure.
I expect so. Yeah, I have another one. Another great result from AI when I asked it for interesting things about the number 146. Under the heading "Bones in a Human Body," AI informs me 146 is the number of bones in a newborn before, quote, all that fusing happens. Now, I looked this up. That is nowhere close to being true.
That is not correct. No, that is I know enough about I took some biology classes, I didn't take anatomy and physiology, but I know there are between 206 and 210 bones in the human body, and neither of those is anywhere close to 146.
That's true. And the last one, and this is my favorite, under the heading music, AI tells me 146 is the number of songs on the Beatles album Abbey Road.
Oh, well, now clearly that's just correct. Yeah, clearly they had in a 70-minute album or whatever, they had 146 songs. Yeah, no, each one was 22 seconds. That's just how it works, right? That's how the Beatles got big. Making Chico music for adverts or something. Yeah, that's clearly true. Yeah, no, so yeah.
Well, I think it's getting confused because I think 146 is the number of songs that's on the White Album. Anyway, that's my nonsense over with. So, Daniel, what are we actually here to talk about today?
Well, and in the title of the episode, we are here to discuss the the masterpiece of Citizen Vigilante. No, that's not true.
Surely the greatest film ever made with the word citizen,
I mean, it
something
really rivals,
in the title.
Citizen Kane and Magnificent Ambersons, The Long Goodbye, Jaws.
Yep.
It's going to be up there with those classics. No, not at all. In this episode, we're mostly talking about the right-wing reaction to Citizen Vigilante as opposed to the movie itself, although we will have to discuss a little bit about the movie. But in a bonus episode, you will get to hear us rip this movie a new one, and that should be released around the same time as this episode. So go give us $1 a month on Patreon.
Yeah.
Although I do want to start in this and just do a quick response to something I got wrong in the last episode, which was the news roundup about the Graham Plattner allegations and his resigning from or hypothetically dropping into the Senate race, although that hasn't happened yet as of the time of this recording. So I do want to just very briefly mention something that I got wrong, if that's okay with you.
Of course. I'm always happy to hear about your mistakes.
Yeah, this is not really a factual mistake as opposed to something that I kind of said flippantly and then get kind of chided over in a very polite message. Privately, it was like I said, I said the word something to the effect of what Plattner is accused of is worse than what Kavanaugh was accused of, what Brett Kavanaugh was accused of. And we shouldn't be comparing these things. Like, I'm not going to sit here and go, this was in my head at the time, and this is why I said that. Obviously, any sexual assault, these are not comparable things. We shouldn't be putting them on a scale. So that was just a nasty thing to say. I mean, I said it flippantly. I take it back. That is not something that I should have said. But also, when you look at the details of what Kavanaugh was accused of, it was pretty horrific in itself. And so,
yes,
yeah, I just wanted to kind of highlight that. I thought it was a bad thing to say when I said it, but I just kind of let it go. And then somebody called me on it, and we won't comment further than that. But it was worth just kind of saying, yeah, that was kind of a shitty thing to say, and I apologize for saying it. So that's I'm sure we'll have more to say about Plattner as kind of events unfold, because events have unfolded even the last couple of days. But we're not doing that today because we have a bad movie to talk about. But anyway, please respond to how you choose it.
No, it's my fault really, because it's my job to intercept the dreadful things that you say in every recording session and edit them out. So I'm sorry about that. I missed one. And yeah, while we're apologizing for mistakes, I do want to sort of apologize for the fact that I repeatedly used the word victim. Um, and I normally like to say survivor or something a little
Sure.
bit less, I don't know. It just didn't quite sit with me listening to myself say victim over and over again in that episode, which, I wish I wish I'd done that differently. I
Yeah.
also wish I'd highlighted the fact that so many leftist creators who are not white had in fact gotten this issue correct,
Yeah, absolutely.
which is something else that I missed talking about while I was complaining about sort of left-wing progressive creators on YouTube. I should have said, yeah, it wasn't all of them. And a lot of the people of color that talked about this saw Graham Plattner for exactly what he was, a fucking mile off. That's something I
Yep.
would have liked to have stressed if I'd been on the ball. Okay.
So yeah, we are going to be talking about this film, Citizen Vigilante, which we're a couple weeks late on this just because of the production thing. I know Molly over at We're Little Guys has produced an episode that got really well regarded. I have not listened to it because if I listened to hers, I probably would not want to do this one because I'm sure she absolutely nailed it. I will listen to that immediately after recording this. But so Molly, sorry about that. I just haven't listened to that episode yet. Anyway. Yeah, this is a film from the filmmaker Uwe Boll, German filmmaker. I don't know. What do you know about Uwe Boll? What do you know about I mean, you've seen the film. I told you, yeah, just watch 15 minutes, get a sense of it. And you watched the whole thing, which I was
Yeah.
surprised by. And I got like running commentary on WhatsApp as you went through it. Coming into this, what do you know about Uwe Boll? And what do you know about the movie? Or, kind of what's your kind of take on the whole thing outside of actually having seen it?
Woof. Okay. Well, I'll kind of keep my powder dry, I think, a bit for the bonus episode that we're going to record where we actually talk about the film. When it comes to Uwe Boll himself, I had actually never knowingly heard of the man. I didn't know about him at all. The news story about this film is really where I discovered that this person existed. But yeah, apparently this person is known as one of the worst film directors of all time,
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
making incredibly amateurish. But I've never, Citizen Vigilante is the only film of his that I've ever seen, and it's the only film of his that I intend to see. But apparently he's known for making incredibly amateurish, bad, cheap movies, largely with kind of German government money, at least in the first stage of his career, apparently. It was kind of it sounds to me like a kind of like a grift, really, to be honest. Just guzzle the money that ironically, the very liberal German state hands out to artistic creators, so that they can make art for the public good. He's apparently he's got a sort of, or did have a habit of taking these grants, these government grants, and making these and getting the license to do video game adaptations or something. And again, I don't know anything about video games, so people say these titles of video games that he's made movie adaptations of, it means nothing to me. So I really don't know. But yeah, and I knew about the controversy about this film. I knew about it being banned by the German government as likely to incite terrorism, which, having seen it, seems perfectly reasonable to me. And I know that Elon Musk promoted and even released for free this film on X for people because
Yes.
he just loves it so much. And yes, I watched some of the interview that Uwe Boll did and sort of debate that he did also with Mehdi Hassan on the Piers Morgan show. So that's kind of it, to be honest. That's all
Yeah.
I know about it.
Sure. Yeah, Uwe Boll, I knew his name. It's funny that I have never like sat down and watched a Uwe Boll film before because it is the sort of thing that hypothetically in my life I probably would have done at some point, at least watched one of them, because I've been interested in like kind of movie geek stuff in the 90s and 2000s and kind of moving forward. And he got as you say, he got a ton of low budget schlocky video game adaptations. And so that sort of like stuff circulated around in terms of like the kind of the again, the 90s and early aughts, kind of movie geek internet stuff. There was a lot of like conversation around just how bad these movies were and how unfaithful to the source material, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I never sat down and watched one. I thought for sure I've seen at least one, but no, I went through the list and like, nope, have not. He's
I was
also
rather horrified looking at his filmography to see that he's made a film that's just called Auschwitz. The idea of watching that fills me with a kind of existential horror that I find difficult to describe.
I'm probably gonna watch a few of them just to come back. And if Auschwitz it looks like it's worth covering, then I might insist that we cover it. But we'll see.
We could do it as a double bill with the Zone of Interest.
God, I can't even imagine. Anyway, so yeah, you pretty much got Uwe Boll kind of spot on. And I did not watch that Mehdi Hassan Uwe Boll conversation, but
you can imagine how it went, I think.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Uwe Boll, in the course of that conversation, he does say something in response to Mehdi Hassan that I found very interesting. But again, I'm going to keep my powder dry on that one for the bonus episode where we actually talk about the film.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. And we'll get a little bit into the details of the film. But I thought instead of me summarizing it, instead of me telling you kind of what the story of the movie is, I thought I would let the guys from the Thought Crime podcast do that for me. And I
thought for one horrifying moment that you were going to ask me to summarize.
No.
I was going to say, what have I ever done to you, Harper? What is this?
I thought, well, surely let's let let's not make Jack do it. I'm not going to do it. Let's let a couple of fascists, proto-fascists, do it. Do you remember the Thought Crime podcast? I think I've described it to you a couple of times on How to Speak German, but maybe I have not.
No, I remember us talking about it.
Okay.
That's about all I remember about it. I remember we talked about it, but
Thought Crime
I do remember us talking about it.
We will be covering Thought Crime a little bit more in a future episode and kind of get into a little bit more of the nitty-gritty details of it. But it is basically the bunch of like 20, 30 something dudes hanging out, doing shit posting and doing like the most racist thing that they can do and still be allowed on, kind of mainstream Republican services. Is like, we're committing thought crime. We're talking about race and IQ. And we're talking, and like compared to what goes on like the Daily Show and that kind of thing, it's less racist than that. I mean, not to say it's not racist. I'm just saying like it's a little bit more like, we hate Muslims for their culture as opposed to they're just intrinsically violent people, et cetera, et cetera. And they, but it is one of these kind of knockoff podcasts that from the alt-right era that we will discuss a little bit more in the next episode, which will be finally when we actually talk about the Daily Show for hopefully the absolute final time. I'm planning to like shut the door on that. But anyway, this is formerly Charlie Kirk was on this podcast, but he's no longer with us. So instead we have his producer, Blake Neff, who was fired from the Daily Caller and from Tucker Carlson's program a few years ago for being
we talked about that at the time.
More racist than Tucker Carlson. More racist than what you're allowed to be on Tucker Carlson's show, which tells you about how racist he is, Jack Posobiec, who, one of those early alt-right guys who found his way into Republican politics and is now an enormously influential person who literally rides on Air Force One with Donald Trump. Like that's, and Charlie Kirk's old producer, Andrew Kolva. Yeah. Who and so it's these three guys and they're just kind of sitting and shit posting about it. So these three leading lights of film criticism. I think it's worthwhile. Let's see what they have to say about what this movie is about. Are you ready, Jack?
I suppose I am.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. So Blake, give the premise.
That first voice is Andrew Kolva.
Premise of this, so it's before we review.
This one is Jack Posobiec. I'm just identifying the voices for people who can't, who haven't spent many hours of their life listening to this fucking bullshit.
Before we review, we should explain that, like what this is, just for folks, if you haven't, heard
that's what I was about to do, Jack.
That's what a premise is. Sorry, I thought you were doing the review.
And that's Blake Neff, obviously.
Go ahead.
No. The premise. So the premise of this film is it's set in Europe. Uwe Boll's German, although someone says we need this guy in Germany, so it might be set in a different country.
I do love, again, we have
it's set in Europe.
No, it literally is set in Europe in like the opening like title crawl, like it literally like pans up and then suddenly it just goes Europe in big text. And
that well-known country,
shot,
Europe.
That exact same shot includes a storefront of the Croatian National Lottery. This film is entirely shot in Zagreb and surrounding areas in Croatia, just to let you know. Anyway, I just love this is some generic Europe, just random Europe. No, it's obviously, it's Croatia. Anyway.
And
it's Croatia.
Croatia? Okay, it's Croatia explicitly.
But it's filmed in such a way that like it kind of doesn't matter.
It's
like,
a European every place, sort of. Like they have their money's in euros, all of that. But anyway, the idea, we know Europe has had these...
This is all these people know about Europe. Actually, Posobiec has a Polish wife, and so he is very like Polish nationalist at times. I love listening to these fascists talk about like, the homeland of Europe, and yet the amount that they know about actual Europe fits in a thimble. That's the definition of the stupid American.
Grooming gangs. They have random migrant stabbing attacks. They have these migrants housed in hotels. They have a real migrant crisis, a migrant crime crisis. And the premise of this movie is that Armie Hammer is Citizen Vigilante. He's a guy who he is identifying some of these migrant criminals who've been in grooming gangs or have done other crimes, and he is being a vigilante. He is getting revenge on them, taking justice into his own hands, and also not just the criminals themselves, but like judges who are doing it.
And it's so controversial that it's for all intents and purposes banned in Germany.
They refuse to give it a rating, so it can't be released in theaters. You could watch it on your home computer, but
I don't know. How do you feel about that summary so far, Jack?
Well, it makes the movie sound more coherent than it actually is.
Absolutely. We will get into that in the bonus episode. But yes, no. I do love, like there are migrants living in hotels. I'm not sure that's exactly what was going on in that scene, buddy. I think there were other things happening in that scene, but moving on.
Illegal to possess, but to show it.
I went and which is, by the way, crazy to say illegal to possess, which is actually a thing in Germany. That I went and
so basically the German film board refused to rate the film, which means that if it can't get a rating, it can't be legally shown in cinemas in Germany. That's the thing that's the big logic that they're going by here. Yeah.
Interviewed the director this week on Human Events, and during that interview, I actually went and just pulled up let's pull up a random movie theater in Germany and see which films are being shown, Uwe Boll. And it was like Obsession, which of course we talked about last week, which is incredibly violent. The Odyssey, which again is a war movie, like all war movies are very, very violent. Django Unchained was doing some kind of remake, or not remake, like a re-release, a replay of that, re-showing, and which again, one of the most violent films ever made, which is something to be said for the fact that it's Quentin Tarantino, and all of his movies are famously ultra violent.
I wonder why these fascists have a problem with Django Unchained in particular. I wonder. A movie that is entirely built around all these slavers have to fucking die. There's a little bit more going on in that film, but it is very much like so much of the catharsis is a freed slave absolutely murdering the people who oppressed him. I can't imagine why these guys might be a little uncomfortable with that idea. Very funny, very funny. And of course, the Odyssey is not. I love the framing that it's about the violence. It's just the violence is the problem. When I don't know. Citizen Vigilante is not expressly violent. I mean, it is violent in the sense of it's clearly. It's about killing people, but it's not I've seen much more ultra violence in films that than this one. This is
and it's again not to do the actual film appreciation before we do it, but it's a real object lesson in how competence of aesthetics is so important, because even in the most bloody and violent parts of the film, it barely has an effect on you because it is simply so incompetently made.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. But I did want to include that bit about, like, Django Unchained. It's like, yeah. I wonder why you have a problem with Django Unchained. Yeah, I can't imagine.
What is it that bothers you about that film, guys?
Exactly,
I'm
exactly.
puzzled.
Also, the fact that he can't use the word re-release. It's like a replay. It's a redo or something. It's like, yeah, these guys really with the pulse on cinema comment on exactly how the movie industry works. These are guys, spotless brains. That's the topic.
And so you can imagine just all of those films perfectly fine to be shown in Germany. And of course, by the way, The Punisher is also available on Disney.
Go ahead.
The German Film Board didn't refuse to give it a certificate because of the violence.
Well,
the problem was that
Yeah.
The problem was that it was likely to incite violence in the real world.
Yes, absolutely.
Which it is likely to.
Just finishing up the last couple of seconds here.
Plus Germany right now, which is literally a vigilante film about a guy who kills criminals.
The idea, like, then it's just about vigilantism. Like, you're not liking the film because it is like such a thrilling thrill ride about a vigilante getting justice. You like the film because it's about murdering the people that you think are bad. These other films, I didn't include a clip of this, but there's in some of the stuff they're talking about, like John Wick. It's like a John Wick thrill. It's like it is nowhere near. John Wick is brilliant because it is an expertly executed series of the most crazy, amazing action sequences we've seen in an English language film in the last 20 years. Just to be clear. Also, they kill John Wick's dog, and then he goes and murders a whole bunch of psychopathic mafia people. Citizen Vigilante, and again, we'll get to this in the discussion of the movie in the bonus episode. He literally only murders children. These are the only, people. Even, the most brutal violence is to literal minors. Anyway.
Yes, and people that have not committed crimes. Most of the people he kills have not, by any conventional measurement, committed any crimes. He kills about 30 police officers, and he kills.
Well, that's the part I was actually like, okay, I'm getting it, Uwe Boll. Yeah, I'm letting you cook on this one. No.
Oh, I'm on board. Yeah, but by conventional morality, that's a bad thing. But he kills a judge, and he kills the family of a rapist.
Yes, absolutely.
Most of the people he kills in the film have not committed crimes.
Right, exactly. And again, we will discuss that in much more detail in the bonus episode. But absolutely. It's like, anyway, I just thought, that's them describing the plot of the film. That's them describing, what the film is about, which I think it's fascinating that, all these people, and you'll get some of this in the clips later, nobody thinks it's actually a good movie. I think that's the thing. They can't really get over themselves and go like, no, this is a masterpiece. It's like, well, it's better than other things. And we'll get into the other things they think it's better than, as we get into this. But no, I find it, I find the whole conversation around it. And the way these guys, they have to admit, it's kind of a bad movie, but it's like a B movie. It's like an action film. It's like a, sit in your pants kind of thriller. And no, it is not any of those things, by the way.
No, it's not.
Absolutely.
It is
again, we'll get into that in the bonus,
tedious.
But, yes. It is absolutely is. Yeah. All right. And so then they play the clip, which I played at the cold open, but they play an extended sequence from it that includes the muffled screams of a rape victim. And I'm not including any of that in the, there's no reason to include that in this podcast, but they play like a 3-minute clip or so, and they come back. And they're going to give you some basic film criticism. They're really going to school us in terms of we really get to learn what these bright guiding lights of fascism think of what makes a film good. I'm sure I was excited to learn this. Honestly, I really got to this point, and I'm like, oh, I really need to learn more about cinema. I don't know enough. I have not read enough. I've not seen enough films to really analyze things to the depth that I'm sure these bright young men are going to give us. I don't know. Wouldn't you like to be edified in the same way?
I certainly would. I'm very interested in film criticism, so I'd be fascinated to learn their opinions on the mise en scène and auteur theory and things like that. Please go ahead.
All right. So here we go. And of course, we'll break into this and just bask in the glowing the bright light of their understanding of how cinema works. Yeah. So
Really intense scene. Watching it back, I'm like,
and this is a COVID again. So just to be clear.
Wow, he really went, and that's what it takes to. I mean, that's why the movie's going viral right now, because it's like they go into the Quran, they go into like you sent the bad ones. I mean, like this is.
It speaks to a primal id, and I guess this is now where Jack and I debate it, because I think have all of us seen the movie at this point? Yeah. So all of us have watched the movie. Jack possibly at 3 times speed, and
yes, Jack Posobiec. Watch the film. I have another clip. We're going to make ludicrous fun of this man. Watch the film at 3x speed on his computer. This is
Well, he's a busy man.
Guiding light. He's got so much hate to spread. He can only watch cinema at 3x speed.
Yeah. He's got so many cameras to stand in front of, wearing sunglasses, pulling silly faces.
Yes, absolutely. I'm gonna go buy another blazer. Come on, I can't watch the film.
I haven't got time to watch a film.
A film that he enjoys. Like I get watching, I listen to a lot of the podcasts to it. Like commentary stuff, I'll definitely kind of do like a high speed view. But 3x is like absolutely insane, by the way. Like
that doesn't by any meaningful definition of watching a film, that doesn't count. You haven't watched it. If you I when I watched Citizen Vigilante, I watched it sped up on VLC, and I skipped bits where it became clear that we were just going to have another literal sort of 5 minutes of drone footage of cars going down roads. But I didn't watch it at 3x. That's not watching it. That's just
and certainly not something
file.
you do for something you enjoy, something you're going to get a visceral pleasure out of. Something
Yeah.
Anyway,
I did watch it at 3 times speed.
as much as I'd love to like it, this is Uwe Boll, who famously makes bad movies. Most of the movie's not very good. That's probably the best scene in the movie right there.
that's the best scene of the movie. The bit that's in our cold open. That's what he calls the best scene in the movie.
The bit where he explicitly he murders an entire family.
He murders a family of brown people. That's their favorite scene. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, and explicitly tells them, "I'm doing this because you're Muslims."
Yeah, you're the bad ones. You're the bad ones.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. That's actually a little bit woke for some of these guys. It's like there are no good ones. You're the bad ones.
I was going to say, yeah.
The last 30 minutes is literally the best.
It's like a B movie action, ride on the seat of your pants, kind of thriller. It's not meant to be like War and Peace, right? It's not Tolstoy. It's literally like, we're going to go in, we're going to throw some stuff at you that comes straight from the headlines. And by the way, he told me that in his
Okay. Hey.
Whoa, he knows who wrote War and Peace, Mr. Fancy Lad over here.
I mean, I would agree, though. It is not War and Peace. I would agree.
It isn't. That's true.
That is, scintillating, absolute perfection. No argument there. It is not War and Peace. It is definitely not that.
I have to say, I kind of want to see Uwe Boll's film adaptation of War and Peace.
It'd be 58 minutes long. It'd be full of tits and machine guns. That's the version. Yeah, absolutely. Uwe Boll makes Paul W.S. Anderson look like an auteur.
He does, though. He really does. Oh god.
We gotta save this for later. It's fine.
Yes.
interview that we did, that these crimes, they're not just similar to certain crimes that you've seen, obviously this gang rape. He's referring to actual crimes and basing it on actual crimes that have happened across Europe. So he brought up the mass rape of a 15-year-old in Hamburg that.
So yeah, Posobiec did interview Uwe Boll. I'm not including any of those segments because I have another interview that I'd rather bring in, and a lot of the talking points are the same. But don't worry, we're going to listen to several minutes of Uwe Boll pontificating about the significance of this film very shortly. So buckle up.
in that instance, the judge let everyone off. They actually did not face jail time and had said, oh, well, they were victims too, victims of society because they were not allowed to fully assimilate, and therefore they were lashing out.
I did not look up the details of these crimes to be able to, but I promise you that is not correct. I promise
that's
you
not
there's more
what
going on.
happened.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
At a society that would not assimilate them. He brought up Irina Zarutska. He brought up a number of things that have happened in the U.S. and Europe that just literally straight from the headlines that we talk about every day. And he said, let me put that all into a video because I feel like, and he was totally right in saying this, that there's so many people out there that if you're not a news junkie like all of us, if you're not doing this every day, if you're not focused on it,
if you're not focused on migrant crime stories and you're not speaking at the camera in your super blazer, you're just not connected to the news, buddy. That's just the reality of it.
If your hobby isn't combing every news report for any instance of anybody brown or anybody who's a migrant committing a crime, you might get the impression that crime isn't just something migrants and brown people do.
Yeah, no. Imagine that. Yeah.
You may not even know that all of this is going on. So
do you remember the thing with the baseball? The woman got the baseball or whatever that we did in the Charlie Kirk episode.
Yes, the Philly Karen.
Yes. Just how completely just up his own ass this man is. Oh man, I listened to him talk for probably 5 hours a week at this point. It's this is a very, very silly man.
An incredible way to present that, and the most effective way to present that, of course, is through a story, through a film.
It was. I found it
bad luck there because this didn't tell a fucking story. Anyway,
there is no narrative arc in this film. It deliberately avoids the narrative arc. Again, we're talking about the structure of the film instead of But yeah, no, I agree. No,
listen to the bonus episode, folks.
Yeah. This is going to be the one that gets people to sign up for the Patreon. That's the thing. We want to hear about how bad this movie is.
Jarring to watch. I have many of the same.
It's a gory movie.
I have many of the same critiques.
Oh yeah. This is not a movie for kids.
Yeah.
Again, scintillating cinema commentary. Not a movie for kids. Actually, again, Poso, 100% agree. Not a movie for kids. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolute agreement.
Yeah, I guess.
Or anybody.
Yeah, no, or adults. No one under the age of 125 should see this movie. Yes.
The bigger picture, of course, is this is a film that presents vigilantism as either a solution or at least an appealing way to go about things. And we understand that Death Wish was popular for a reason as well.
Yep.
So I guess what would stand out to me is if we're going to have a viral movie that's presenting vigilantism as a understandable response to what's going on with migration, I guess I wish the person was more sympathetic because
Ding, ding, ding.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. Even the fascists pick up on this guy doesn't seem very sympathetic. The guy who murders children, the guy who beats up on hoodlums who didn't want to pay for their bus fare, that guy, somehow seems less sympathetic. Why can't he be like a normal family man instead of looking like a fucking psycho? Yeah, no, exactly. Blake Neff, getting at something there. You don't quite know what you're getting to, but you're getting at something interesting there. Anyway,
the way the character Hammer's playing is basically kind of a psychopath. He himself murders random people in the film, which I thought was very strange.
Well, he does deal with the judges too.
Not just the judges, but while there's a scene where he's driving with a judge and he's kind of saying most people they just they're sheep who follow the rules no matter what. And so he drives into the wrong side of the road and makes someone else swerve off the road and crash and their car explodes. That person's probably dead because they wanted to follow the rules. So he just killed a random innocent person.
Well, it's a very pro-anarchy.
Yeah, it's like an anarchist. It's almost a nihilistic film in some way.
Well, it's got nothing to do with anarchism, but this is actually slightly more acute than I was expecting from these people.
Yeah, no,
They've
absolutely,
noticed
absolutely. That's why I included
about
it.
this
Again,
film. Yeah.
scintillating film conversation. They admit the movie is incoherent and stupid. They don't know what the film is actually doing, but they like the fact that brown people die in it at the hands of a human Adonis, 6'5". Army Hammer is 6'5". And, no, they love that aspect of it, and that's the part that they pay attention to. And then once they start thinking about it, like, oh, we should talk about this. It's like, well, I don't know. It's kind of weird that he's kind of a bad guy and he kills innocent people. Yeah.
But he does some of them are brown though. So it swings and roundabouts.
Maybe the people who were in that hatchback or whatever that he runs off the road, maybe they were brown people. He just
that's right.
Could be.
If Uwe Boll had just included one shot of the people in that car that he runs off the road and kills to show us that they're actually Turkish, everything would be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. No, interestingly, I think that's sorry. Reportedly, Boll had to reach out to hundreds of people to find the people who are willing to actually play that migrant family that gets murdered.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine why that's the case. I can't imagine. All right, scintillating film criticism. Do you want to just make fun of Jack Posobiec for a few minutes? Because I have a clip. Let's just make fun of Jack Posobiec for a few minutes.
Oh, please, yes.
This is actually from his other show, from his Human Events Daily show, where he just gets to pontificate all on his own. He's interrupted by the other racists. He just gets to be racist all on his own. This is the
he just gets to talk. Yeah. The moon-faced lol cow just gets to pontificate at us.
Yes.
Lovely.
The man. I was poking fun at him on Bluesky the other day. Like, I'm a guy with a big beard. I'm a guy, I've always been very, hirsute. I've always been, like this guy. I don't lose my hair and that sort of thing. I always am amazed at people who, they want to have that manly stubble that never quite fills in, and then they just shave it, dude. Like, it's fine. You're allowed to be clean shaven.
Yeah.
He's trying to affect this masculinity with this absolutely patchy 13-year-old beard. I'm just again, no criticism of anyone for their facial hair or lack thereof. This is not that. I'm not trying to body shame people, but Jack Posobiec is a professional person. He gets on camera. He's trying to affect a look for himself that looks like this hyper masculine ex-Marine kind of guy. And he looks like a fucking 12-year-old who never had to touch a razor in his life. That's what he looks like. Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Speaking as a chap who's never been able to grow impressive facial hair, just shave it off, mate.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Not
Some
a problem.
of us just aren't meant to have mustaches and beards. It's just the way of things.
It's just how it goes, and it doesn't make you a lesser person. It's fine,
It doesn't.
I didn't do anything
I'm a loser,
for this.
but it's not because I don't have a beard.
It's just, I'm just lazy and let it grow, and I like the way it looks, so it's fine. We're good. All right, more Poso. Let's get ready for this.
And of course, I'm sure that the tweet, it'd be interesting to see. I don't know if there's any followers out there or any audience members.
Yeah. So here he's referring to the fact that Citizen Vigilante was posted on Twitter/X for a couple of days, and the fact that Elon Musk himself was retweeting it and posting it and spreading the message and helped to get this out there. And so that's kind of the topic of this conversation.
That happen to be in Germany or anywhere in the EU, please let us know if you can actually see this tweet in Germany. I'd be interested to see that.
Maybe the tweet just isn't visible in Germany. I mean, it's possible. I don't know. The film, the digital censorists, the censorship board of Germany has disallowed the tweet to be shown. That's just the nature of it. Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because we're told it's not illegal to stream, it's just illegal to show in theaters in Germany. Well, the entire film just got posted not only by the Citizen Vigilante account, but by Elon Musk himself to his main Twitter account right there on X. And it's got millions upon millions of views already as it is. People can go right there. So between today and tomorrow, now, I don't know, right? People are saying, well, wait a minute, because he said that we don't want to just stream this for free. Can we still?
I want to pay for this. How can I pay? This is literally like paid advertisement for the film. This is what he's doing, right? You understand this, right? Or at least ideological. Like he's ideologically, well, yeah, we need to support Uwe Boll for making this masterpiece. That's the point. Yeah.
Yeah. We want everybody to see this because it's so persuasive.
But also we want this to be financially successful so that Uwe Boll makes more. Boll has talked about making sequels to this. So we shall see.
Support it. Guess what? You still can support it. Even if you go watch it on streaming, the way that Elon has provided, you can, and I don't know, I mean, I certainly hope that they worked out a deal. It looked like Uwe was very, very excited.
I'm including this a little bit. I almost cut this out. It's only 30 seconds long. But the way that Jack Posobiec has his head up his own ass, he has to talk about his own connection to the entertainment industry during this next 30 seconds, because he helped to do some of the back end work for the America First, or not the America First, the Turning Point USA halftime show for the thing that was competing against Bad Bunny back in January, where Kid Rock came and did like an absolutely stupid flag waving performance, etc. That's what he's referring to here.
To be able to do that. And that means, of course, that the rights, the publishing, the distribution, all of that has to be signed off on. Believe me, from doing the halftime show experience, I certainly know a little bit, dipped my toe in, and it wasn't dipping my toe in, it was touching my hand on a hot stove, because that's how bad that industry is.
Imagine needing to acquire licenses for intellectual property. Yeah, imagine.
He's a grizzled veteran now.
Yeah. And like, you work in the news business, like you work in creating intellectual property for your company. Like, what are you talking about? Like, this is your business too, asshole. What are you talking about? It's just like, yeah, God, it's so.
Well, they were able to get it done for Elon. And in fact, if you remember, we weren't even able to show the Turning Point halftime show on X because of a rights dispute over some of the Kid Rock songs, which, again, not Kid Rock's fault, but just the way the industry works, the way the music recording, the IP industry, the rights industry, how that all goes. But
I mean, look, all criticisms for, the absolutely atrocious recording industry, contract rules and all that sort of thing. We're not defending any of that, but the idea that like he's just just got to fill time. He's just filling his 55 minutes or whatever this podcast needs to run. He's just babbling incoherently in the middle of like this like call to action to give Uwe Boll money for this terrible product. I think it's absurd. It's absurd.
If you still want to support the movie, go watch it, share it with your friends, share Elon's tweet out there, airplay that up on the big screen. If you want to be like me, you can watch it at 2X. If you want to watch it at 1X, that's totally up to you, and it's totally fine. We accept all speeds of viewing.
Okay.
Here on Human Events Daily. So if you are a 1X viewer, 1.25, 1.5, 1.75, full 2X like me, or even when I'm by myself, when I'm not with Tiny Tay, I'll go as high as 3X. Yeah, you need VLC for that. We accept them all and still go support the film.
He's just ranting about, he thinks he sounds like a real man that he can watch the thing at 3X speed. He thinks it makes him sound manly and impressive. It's like, we accept everybody, 1X, 1.25, 1.5, whatever. It's like, you didn't need any of this, dude. You could have just said, watch the movie. It's great. We love it. Support Uwe Boll. Instead, he's got to do this, like, this manlet posturing, this bullshit nonsense. Yeah, no.
This is a level of eccentric stupidity that renders the words almost incomprehensible.
Yeah.
It turns the language into noise.
Send them some bucks, send them a couple of dollars, buy some signed copies, buy some signed posters. This film could change so much. We need more films like this. Fund the arts. Fund the arts. Come on, Conning. This is how.
Go ahead.
Fund the arts? Oh my God.
We need more bullshit racist Z-grade B movies in our lives. Fund the arts. Fund Uwe Boll, who has been a working filmmaker for 30 years. Yes, exactly. Yes.
How it's done. This was just $9 million. Compare that to some of the other things out there. Look at the impact this is having. fund the arts. Right back, Human Events Daily.
All right, that's it. Then it just plays his theme song. So he's like ending a segment. That's why the music was playing there, just to be clear for the audience. You may not understand why is that music playing. No, he's ending a segment. So like it's very like tightly oriented. He has to fill so much time before the next ad break. That's the point. So yeah, stupid Jack Posobiec. I already kind of said like he watched it at 3x speed. He admitted it, and I played that clip first. But I mean, just the idea that he's like, we accept every watching speed. You can watch it at whatever speed you want. 1.25, 1.1, 1.7. Hey, we accept everybody. Just give Uwe Boll your dollars. That's, it's just such a sideshow Barker type thing. I mean, it parodies itself. It's so fucking ridiculous. We should not be listening to this, but I thought it was hilarious anyway.
Just bizarre, just absolutely bizarre, and yet also simultaneously boring.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. All right. So we're done. We're done with Jack Posobiec now. We're done with the kind of hiding his power level Nazi, who very much like was one of these like low level alt-right people back in 2015, 2016. He kept his nose slightly drier, and so he didn't get put in the same camp as like Andrew England and Mike Enoch and all those other guys. But like was absolutely one of those figures. Attended all the same events. Worked with some actual like fascists in a like street level fascists doing some of his events and stuff back in that time period. We could do a full Jack Posobiec episode. We'll definitely do that at some point. But
he's one of the key people behind propagating Pizzagate.
Absolutely.
Feeds directly into QAnon. Yeah.
He did.
This man has blood on his hands from his epic stupidity.
I mean, he's got blood on his hands for a lot of other reasons as well. But yes, absolutely. But instead of kind of listen to his interview, we're going to listen to what the people at the fine publications over in American Renaissance have to say when they interviewed Uwe Boll and
I saw
the podcasts. Yes,
I saw Jared Taylor had interviewed Uwe.
Yeah, we're gonna listen to several minutes of the scintillating conversation. I know you're excited. I'm excited. Are you excited? Exactly. What insights as to filmmaking we're going to learn from this auteur cinema. Uwe Boll being interviewed by not just Jared Taylor, but this is a blast from the past. Paul Kersey, Mr. Michael Thompson himself, co-interviewed on this one. Yes,
a strangely appropriate name as well.
Yes,
Paul Kersey is the name of the character from Death Wish.
Yes, that is indeed true. I don't believe include any clips of him. He did ask Uwe Boll, Kersey did about, or Thompson did about were you trying to make a new Death Wish? And he talks about Death Wish being his favorite movie, etc. That was just
Death Wish is my favorite movie.
I think it is actually his favorite movie, but anyway. So let's listen to. We're going to listen to first Jared Taylor, and then you'll hear a German accent, and that's going to be Mr. Boll himself. So we get to again wash over just the lessons of cinema that you can learn from this. This is like Werner Herzog or Orson Welles in his prime, really coming at it, giving us like the sense of just how you make great cinema. This is. Sorry, I'm belaboring this. We're going to listen to a bunch of bullshit from Uwe Boll. Anyway, are you ready, Jack?
Oh, more than ready.
All of the people in that country and the viewer are going, go, go, go. And
this is again referring to that exact same scene that we played at the beginning. Everybody watching this, everybody in Germany, everybody is going, go, go, go to the scene in which he murders an innocent family. Yes, that's Jared Taylor's, response.
That's Jared Taylor's intuition that just everybody in Germany just wants to see Muslim families exterminated by a psychopath.
Yes.
It's in that sense that it is Citizen Vigilante. And I'm not the least bit surprised, Mr. Boll, that you had a lot of trouble getting any kind of financial backing for this. But you say you went through the usual channels hoping for standard commercial backing for this movie?
Yes, I mean, not to everybody, but to some people I know there, and they all said, no, that's a hot topic that will get banned. What happens in Germany actually for real now. And so you will not have a lot of success with it. You will not get played. And it's also true in US that most of the movie theaters were not willing to play it. It's only in 5, 6 small cinemas. We tried New York, we tried LA, nobody played it. And
I can't imagine why. Having seen the film,
Yeah.
I can't imagine why. It's not even like that the film was racist. There's a long history of people of MENA extraction being the villains in movies. There's a long history of that.
Well, yeah, this is something that we're going to talk about when we talk about the film. This film is racist, absolutely.
Yes,
but that's kind of, I mean, from a sort of film financier or film distributor's point of view, that's very secondary. That's going to be very secondary in a world that released Taken. That is going to be very secondary to the fact that the film is just incompetently made. It is beyond abominable. It just doesn't function as a film. That's going to be the problem. That's going to be why people don't want to invest in it or distribute it.
Yeah. We'll get into that in the bonus episode. But yes, no, absolutely.
Yeah,
that right.
Yeah. So they said no. That's not like in a way a movie where we want to be involved with. And I said why? Because look, at one point you have to stand up and say, like, your gut feeling tells you there's something majorly wrong with the Islamistic mass migration into Europe, and the criminal statistics show it. And
I mean,
no, they
don't. Just in case you were thinking maybe Uwe Boll was just trying to make something satirical, or maybe he was just trying, he's just trying to like make something that's like, like he's hopping on a bandwagon. No, he believes the shit. That's why I included this. He's literally on a racist podcast talking about his racist movie and using incredibly racist language to talk about it. He is defending. He thinks this is a work of ideological purity. That's what that's the argument that he's making. Just to be clear, that's why we're including this. Yes.
He's clearly I don't know if the rest of his films have this sort of ideological angle. I've heard people say not, and I've heard people say yes, but
I think some of them do and some of them don't. I think it varies.
This film's message is not just sort of a pose or an aesthetic or anything. He is clearly operating entirely from inside these racist delusions, this alternative universe that these people live in.
Absolutely.
Economy shows it, and you feel okay. Why I'm now a Nazi if I point things out and
maybe you should not go on this podcast to be like talk about being a Nazi as if it's a bad thing. Maybe X day on the Nazi
and say, look, that's the facts, and there is not one movie done what shows that, not one. And that's the reason I wanted to do it, so where to say, look, we have to do movies. They may be sometimes like instigating massive discussions and people getting upset and, but that's what life is all about. I mean,
to be clear, Uwe Boll is literally sitting there and saying like, well, yeah, the movie might instigate discussions. That's the word he uses, but that's what we want. Like his goal, he said it in so many words. His goal with the movie is to instigate discussions about the problems with migrants. He is 100% on board with this. Absolutely.
He just as good as said, I deliberately made right-wing anti-migrant propaganda.
Yes. And almost as he can't. Sorry, I'm not making fun of the man's English. Just to be clear, he's speaking in a second or third language, so I cut him some slack. But he can't say it as clearly as you just did because he has to pontificate around it a little bit more. So I'm not commenting on the quality of his English. I'm saying like ideologically, he can't just come out and say I made a piece of right wing propaganda. He just has he has to say it in slightly softer words. I think that's interesting. Yeah.
Yes.
We cannot go away and do only like Hallmark Christmas movies. You always people.
And that's Kersey there laughing in the background. Like, oh well, the two things that you can make are either incredibly racist against migrants in Europe, incredibly poorly made films, stoking race hatred, or Hallmark Christmas movies. Those are your
That's
two
right.
options.
Those are the two.
Yeah, that's it. Those are the only kind of movies you're allowed to make. Absolutely.
Well, they make movies, they matter.
Well, Mr. Boll, this is perhaps, we can hope that it will be a pioneering genre. This is avant-garde filmmaking.
Oh my God. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, Jared. Yes. Of course it is.
Yeah. Uwe Boll is a new Hodorowski.
Yeah. It's not even trying to be avant-garde filmmaking. It's trying to be action cinema with a slant. But
yeah,
I mean, again, this is we'll talk about this when we do the bonus. But it kind of almost is accidentally avant-garde cinema.
Yeah, no,
only because it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
It's Unshin and Lu, but it's because certain sequences just don't. At one moment, you're cutting into an eyeball, and the next, you're dragging a piano across the floor. These things make no sense together. It's the exact same logic as Citizen Vigilante. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's surreal, but only by accident.
Yes.
And that, of course, is why people who are stuck in an utterly conventional and hypocritical view of the world are so outraged by it.
Absolutely. You see, like the normal film reviewers, like on Variety, they hated it, and they
yeah. I can't imagine why they hated it. Yes, absolutely.
And that proves it's good.
Uwe Boll has a hypothesis about why they hated it. So let's listen to this titan of cinema. Give us an explanation.
Try to trash it in saying it's just bad filmmaking, it's bad acting, but that comes all short because you feel they have nothing, and they want to say, "I'm pro political censorship. I'm against freedom of speech or freedom of art." That is what they basically want to say, but they cannot say. So now, now they write the movie's bad, and nobody should watch it because the movie is so bad.
Yeah, the film critics at Variety. These are obviously horrifically pro censorship of cinema. Yes. This is exactly the kind of person that gets hired to be a film reviewer. And, I'm sure they said it was racist.
They're all
it's just
left-wing ideologues.
Yes, exactly. These are the communists at Variety. Just a bunch of Antifa,
Yeah.
Basically Stalin with a typewriter. That's the people who, or word presses, whatever. Oh God, yeah, no. Very, very. I don't even think that Boll is that self-deluded. I think he's just lying. I think at that point,
he's bullshitting. Yes,
he's bullshitting.
Yes, yeah. It's almost delightful, to be listening to Jared Taylor, who's obviously completely sincere, just being played by this obvious con man.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we got more from a few minutes down the interview. He's going to talk about how friends of mine, people that are in my social circle, don't really like the fact that I made this movie. I can't imagine why they would think so.
The reality is that, for example, when we're sitting here and my wife is from Canada and we talk to people, we had people in the last 1 or 2 years who don't want to come anymore for a dinner or so, right? Because they said, like, you're too harsh, Uwe, you're too harsh. And I said, no, you're not reading the news. You don't study what I do. Like I said, look, I'm looking
You're not looking at the racist diatribes that I have. You're not sitting on Twitter and staring at migrant crime rates. You're not reading the Daily Stormer the way I have been. This is
you're just not consuming enough Nazi propaganda. That's why you think I'm wrong.
It's like the QAnon propaganda. It's like, no, you're not looking at the drops the right way. You're not seeing what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Every day in this kind of stuff. And you don't want to, you live in your air balloon and you say, but in my neighborhood is nobody who is dangerous and I never had a bad experience with anybody. And I said, yeah, but you can see the world like this, like the Truman Show or something, but on the other hand, it's still real. It still happens. And only because you're not living whatever in Berlin, Neukölln, and you live in a nice neighborhood in your city, it's still the truth. and all that crimes are the truth, and everything what you read is the truth when the people say it with their own thing. Like in Germany, when last year in universities, all the student Muslims were like praying in the.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second. Okay. First of all, you and your hoity-toity cities in Berlin, you're not seeing the violence because you live in your ivory tower and your wealthy condos, et cetera, and you're not seeing life on the streets the way I see it because I read all the racist news clippings. That's literally the point he's making. Again, very, very, like this guy, he is grifting on Jared Taylor here. He is definitely like spinning things in his direction. He believes 100% of this shit. This is not a pose to make money for a movie. This is a passion project, just to be clear. I think that's pretty clear from that text.
Yes.
All right. And now we get into the real problems that he's facing. See, some of these guys, they really will kind of go, well, some of my best friends, we're really just talking about the violent ones. We're really just talking about, there's a problem with like the rape gangs or like the sexual assaults or the violence. And we're just trying to, deal with those. No, Uwe Boll is not one of those people. Uwe Boll has much more systematic problems with these people in Germany.
Mensa, like in the restaurant, on the hallway, they block the traffic. These are demonstrations of power. Nothing else. They want to show we take over. And if you want to be blind, then you go over it, But I mean, and that's the thing where I feel we need to be a little clearer to the migrants, like to say, look, that doesn't fly here. You can be a Muslim, but not in public spaces. For this, you have a mosque or your living room, but here it's not allowed, and we're not accepting that. Like we are.
You can be a Muslim. You can be a Muslim in private. He at least admits that maybe the mosques should be allowed in Germany, although he doesn't sound like he thinks that mosques should be allowed in Germany. This is absolutely just, again, I don't want to say the vilest form of racism because I've heard a lot worse, but this is very, very vile racism towards people of Biddy's extraction. And hopefully that becomes clear. Yeah, no.
Yes.
This
is completely incoherent as well. Completely incoherent.
No.
Because we've jumped from myths of a migrant crime wave, which is not happening, by the way, out here in reality where the rest of us live. We've jumped from that to some sort of political project where they're trying to concertedly take over, which is not the same thing as them all being just a load of criminals, to, well, there's something wrong with them expressing their faith in public. These things do not join up. They do, but the only thing that joins them up is just the unspoken underlying reality of this person's politics, which is hatred of Muslims.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All like driven by Western philosophy and science and everything, and we would just not go for it. It's like it's over for you guys if you want to show this to us. And that's what I feel like the most of the people that want to be so politically correct, they are scared of that confrontation.
Well, that's why
No, we're not scared of that confrontation. We don't want to have that confrontation because there's no need for us to have that confrontation, because the only people that think that there's a need for anybody to have that sort of confrontation are racists who live in a parallel universe of their own construction, Uwe. We're not afraid of being called politically incorrect or being called racist. We're afraid of people like you inflicting your warped worldview on the rest of us.
Agreed. And the whole thing is like the logic that he's kind of landing on is that like that the legal system is treating these people lightly because they're Muslims. Like we have to treat them with kid gloves or else they might do horrible things, or they're in collusion with them and that sort of thing. There's that kind of conspiracy logic that's going on there. And
it always ends up a conspiracy, yeah.
But ultimately,
in order to make any sense.
The whole thing is these people are going through the justice system. They're going through the same justice system that you would go through if you committed this crime. the justice system is meting out, some form of justice. You may disagree with the sentencing, you may disagree with the outcome, but like that's what the law is for. That's they are. It's not like they're not being arrested. It's not like it's completely nonsensical. It's nonsense.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying any legal system is like cannot be questioned or like decisions cannot. Certainly we're not saying that. I'm a prison abolitionist. Believe me, I'm in no way suggesting that that's a fair thing. But these people are, by the laws of your society, by the laws of Germany and Europe and the United States, but by these laws, they are being judged. They are going through this system, and your criticisms of the system are not like well, these people should just be murdered on the streets. That's not the answer. Anyway, sorry. I'm just, I find the whole thing.
Exactly. No, we have this narrative in this country about things like knife crime. People that talk about this and link it with race, they talk about it like knife crime is something we allow. Like the state has just made it legal to stab people in the street if you're black. No, people who commit knife crime get arrested.
I thought one of the most powerful scenes in your movie, and I wonder if Mr. Kersey will agree, is when you have the Citizen Vigilante in the living room with the family of the rapists. And
they all fucking love the scene. They all fucking love the scene.
Yeah. Because they get to see some Muslims murdered.
Absolutely.
Family is saying, well, this was proper because we believe in Sharia law. This is what we believe. And so we were punishing this girl for dressing provocatively. And that, I think, is a not unrealistic scene in terms of the way those people behave and the kind of demands they make on Western society. And for them to be punished before your very eyes for saying that, that's not something any of us would openly propose, but there is a certain satisfaction in that kind of statement being refuted.
Yes, and I mean, when you talked about Death Wish, there's a whole genre of vigilante movies.
Yes.
Okay, first of all, Jared Taylor being like such a powerful sequence.
He's taking it so serious.
I am so in love with the fact that they are refuting the logic of these migrants. And it's like, this is a man just outright murdering a whole family, because he didn't get the kind of justice that he wanted. Like, he's just murdering a dozen people in that scene. It's shooting them in the back. And again, we'll talk about this in the movie, but it's this scene. You have to see this scene to know just how fucking bizarre it is for Jared Taylor to be that moved by it. Unless it's sheer racism. That's the only thing that's happening here. It's just, I like it when the brown people get murdered. That's it. Yeah,
that's it. Yes, yeah. If you haven't seen the film, this won't hit as much as it should, because the scene he's talking about, the man turns up at a flat in a sort of housing project or something.
Yeah.
And he insinuates his way inside the house using a gun. He threatens and bullies his way into the house with a gun. And he holds an entire family hostage. There's mum, dad, daughter, son. He holds them hostage. And he murders them all. Now, even if you think that, randos who appoint themselves judge, jury, and executioner should be allowed to murder rapists, okay, I think you're profoundly mistaken about that. But he murders the father and the mother and the sister, none of whom, that's what happens in this scene.
Absolutely.
It's not he's not even a vigilante in that scene, because vigilantes kill people who've committed crimes. 3 of the 4 people that he murders, he murders about 48 people in that scene, but the initial 4 murders, only one of them has committed a crime. The other 3 are not criminals. He just murders them because he doesn't like their attitude.
The justification is that they've covered it up, or they've supported it, or they, you allowed it, and therefore, you're the bad ones. That's the whole logic.
Because apparently, according to this film, and Jared Taylor finds this so moving, that this is finally being addressed in powerful art. According to this scene, it's in the Quran and or Sharia law that you're allowed to rape people if you don't like the fact that they're dressed provocatively. Now, I don't pretend to be an expert on Islam. I don't think that's accurate.
No.
I'm just guessing here.
No,
I don't think that's correct.
No. No. It's funny that like other races, like other different types of racists, actually like they believe the exact same thing about Islam, but they like it because it gets those women out of the miniskirts. It's like no. This is we actually like this. No, this is we like that. Cantwell was totally on that for a while.
Whatever Equalizer, it's all satisfying if somebody corrects.
And again, he's just funny. He's like, no, it's a generic idea for vigilante film. Like, have you seen the Denzel Washington Equalizer films at all?
I've seen the first one.
Yeah, Robert McCall, like he's an excellent.
Isn't it about like the people he goes after in that film it's the Russian mob and it's sex traffickers.
Yeah, sex traffickers. It's like there's a young woman who has been victimized by like the Russian mob, and he goes after the Russian mob. This is not the same thing as like I killed a 17-year-old in his living room and his family. There's a different thing here,
injustice.
Yes.
And even the Wild Bunch, the old Sam Peckinpah movie, like where they don't ending well, but they at least try it. And I grew up with a lot of Western. I'm a big Western fan, where it's all about vigilantes. I mean, the whole Clint Eastwood's career is built on this, basically.
Well, we could talk about the racism that's inherent to Clint Eastwood's career another time, but it is. No, these are just generic. It's just generic vigilante films. I'm just talking about people seeking justice when justice wasn't served by the system. That's all I'm talking about. Except this is a whole political project that you're embracing here. You're embracing a racist political project. It's not the fact that your movie is about a vigilante. It's the victims that he chooses, the victims that you chose to put on screen. That's the criticism. It's not like some generic people don't like vigilante movies. People love vigilante movies when
Yes, this is so cowardly.
Yes.
He does the same thing in the interview that he did with Piers Morgan and Eddie Hassan. He won't come out and say it. He hides behind this idea that he's just doing another entry in this venerable genre of revenge movies.
All right, that's enough. No more Jared Taylor.
Oh, good.
What's the phrase on this podcast? It always gets worse.
It always gets worse. Yeah, that should have been the title, really. But
it always gets worse. All right. Now, Paul Kersey is back. Paul Kersey had a couple of lines from him in that bit. Paul Kersey does another podcast, also on the American Renaissance, like kind of feed on the website. It's a different show. It's called View from the Right. And this is with good buddy Kevin DeAnna. Now, Kevin DeAnna has gone by James Kirkpatrick. He's gone by a couple of different names. He's written for VDare. This guy is he's one of these like blue blood, has been to grad school racist. He's very, he's read all the books, he knows all the things. And it's kind of like they do a whole series of, I guess Kersey does a whole series of like, where they're reading through like the white man's library. They're reading through these old racist texts, like talking about like how great they are. He does that with Sam Dixon, who is just, I've talked about Sam Dixon. Anyway, we're going to have to cover a lot more of this stuff because it's absolutely insane. Anyway, Kevin DeAnna, it's, I apologize to the audience for this. This is Jack is used to this shit. This is not the way to bring you Kevin DeAnna. Kevin DeAnna, he will get his own episode one of these days. But we're going to talk about, the subtlety, how subtle this movie is, and compare it to a couple of other movies that won Oscars last year in 2025. And some of the commentary. This is absolutely batshit insane, but anyway, we're gonna walk through it. It's gonna be fine.
The culture has declined so much that even a journeyman effort.
So he's talking about the quality of the film and how the film is not very good. He admits that the film is not very good. They just have to admit it. But that he responds to it on this primal level. And they kind of go through. They talk about this for like 45 minutes. It's a long, not a long episode, but they kind of go over the same points over and over and over again. That's just kind of the nature of it. But he's talking about even a few years ago, the movie has to be didactic because the population is now so stupid. So this is the logic that he's getting to.
Oh yes, I remember Kevin Spacey's character saying that in the back of the cop car in Seven.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Thing that you would have said is bad looks so much better now. And so I'm not trying to, I'm being as objective as I can be in the full knowledge that, yes, obviously, this is the kind of message that I like at a gut emotional level, even if I'm being, especially if I'm being.
I love the racism at a gut
he does.
emotional
Absolutely.
level.
He does. Like this is the podcast where they say, yeah, no, we are racist. Like they are very open about those. They are racist. Yes.
Okay.
Very crude about it. So, but I'm trying, I recognize this and you should recognize it too, but I'm trying to be as objective as possible. The dialogue here is no worse than what you're going to get in One Battle After Another.
Correct. I know you haven't seen One Battle After Another, but
I haven't.
That's a film. It's based on a Thomas Pynchon novel. It's inspired by a Thomas Pynchon novel anyway. It won Best Adapted Screenplay. Citizen Vigilante, and we'll talk about the scene that he thinks is so we're gonna listen to exactly what dialogue he thinks is amazing, and then we're gonna play a bit from that scene. That is how we're gonna end this episode. So what? Anyway,
probably better than Sinners.
Sinners, written and directed by Ryan Coogler, a black man. I can't imagine why he thinks the dialogue is better than that absolutely amazing screenplay. Sinners and One Battle After Another, in my opinion, are both masterpieces. I loved both of them. I think you would appreciate Sinners more than One Battle After Another. I think anyway, if you ever want to do them, I will absolutely. We can do podcast episodes about both of those. I think they're great.
Yes, I'm falling down by having seen Citizen Vigilante, but not having yet gotten to those films. I need to remedy that.
Absolutely.
It's actually not, and it's certainly a hell of a lot better than anything you're going to get in Between the World and Me or something like that.
That's a best-selling Ta-Nehisi Coates book from 2015 about the history, about his own history with race of being a black man in the United States and the history. This is an incredibly amazing book. And, it's just. Yeah, the dialogue in Citizen Vigilante, because it agrees with my ideological priors, it's better and more subtle and more sophisticated than Ta-Nehisi Coates. This is
yeah. Well, I mean, this is clearly just reflexively ideological. The dialogue in Citizen Vigilante, obviously, it's better than anything you're going to find in the novels of James Baldwin or Langston Hughes or Ralph Ellison or anything like that. Yeah. I think I'm picking up what you're laying down.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Or for that matter, some overwrought dissent from some federal judge talking about why the Constitution guarantees an inherent right for unlimited trans immigrants of color from Nicaragua or something. I mean,
that's exactly what the Constitution says, right?
That's it. Yeah, word for word.
Absolutely, word for word. I'm pretty sure. I mean, that was in Sotomayor's dissent in a recent Supreme Court case. I think that's exactly what she said. No, it was Ketanji Brown Jackson. She's the black one, and so of course they love to make fun of. We almost did an episode about the Supreme Court decisions, and my God, the way these racists respond to Ketanji Brown Jackson is it's absolutely absurd. It's absolutely absurd. Anyway.
Rhetoric has been so overused and made so blunt, and the idea of using any kind of metaphor, being subtle about these things or suggesting these kinds of things, that's all gone. And I think a lot of people are.
Yes. I'm sorry, I know you haven't seen them, but if there's one thing that we know about One Battle After Another and Sinners, absolutely no metaphor, no illusion. There's absolutely everything is fully didactic. It is exactly what it says on the surface. Absolutely nothing going on underneath the surface level reading of these films. Again, it's just so.
Yeah.
Remembering his films from a time when, frankly, you had smarter people watching them. And so the lack of
smarter people watching them because the country is now more brown and therefore inherently dumber. That is the logic. That is exactly what he's saying there. He's just not spelling out so many words because for that audience, he doesn't have to.
Subtlety came off as stupidity, but you don't believe me? Go on X. Look on the left and the right. I mean, we're surrounded by idiots. And
I mean, on Twitter these days, I mean, to the degree that there are still left-leaning people on Twitter. But yeah, no, I actually agree. I log into Twitter and I find, yeah, no, I'm kind of surrounded by people who don't seem to be the sharpest tools in the shed. Kevin DeAnna being one of them, just to be clear.
If you have to basically just put it on the line like this, otherwise people literally are not going to get it. They actually do need it spelled out to them at this point. And if you have something like this where it is being spelled out to them at this point, this is the only way you are going to get people to understand what it is he's trying to say. And what it is that he is trying to say, I will even say this. Sometimes he is making a subtle point.
Okay.
Right.
Well, we're going to hear what Kevin DeAnna thinks is a very subtle point that is being made in Citizen Vigilante, and then I will play the exact clip. So you get to hear that subtle, that such nuanced writing for yourself. The absolutely, sharpening the point that could not be made in any other way than in this absolute triumph of cinema. So that's where we're going.
Will I be capable of picking up on this kind of subtlety? Or
I don't know. Maybe you
and
I are just too dumb to understand the subtlety involved here.
Yeah, I'm worried. I'm worried that I just won't get it.
For example, when he is on the bus and
when he's on the bus, you know which scene we're referring to now? Yeah.
That's the subtle scene?
Yes. Absolutely.
That's the subtle scene?
All right. Let's listen to the scintillating, we let him make his argument. Let him cook for a second. Okay.
I can't wait to hear what it was that was so subtle that was going on in that scene that I completely failed to pick up on.
He's talking to these kids, and he explains to them that, look, if people steal bananas, and I thought that was a very clever reference to George Floyd, obviously.
I agree.
I don't even think Uwe Boll is even the racist enough to kind of immediately go to I picked a banana as the fruit in question because he was referencing George Floyd. But the fact that these two both immediately oh yeah, that's clearly what he's referring to. That is another level of racism, my friend. This is rarefied levels of racism. Even for I don't speak German, this is a very, very racist thing to say, right?
Agree. If 10% of the population starts stealing bananas from the convenience store, the price goes up for everyone. And that is not fair because now everybody is having to pay more for a product that used to cost less. And we all suffer because other people won't obey the rules that are there for very good reason.
Okay. He's about to rant for a second, but hey, this is the basic economic theory I learned in grade school. I'm pretty sure they still teach this. This is the first day of economics class. If you it's absolutely the idea that this is some subtle point that the film is making that the world is too stupid to understand. It can only come from a capitalist at heart. It can only come from this absolutely most racist individual who also has thoroughly imbibed just sucking the taint of capitalism the entire time. That's who this that's the only way this makes any sense at all. Understanding what this man would have to believe to make that true.
Well, I just wonder what the effect of society would be if 10% of the population, after deciding that they were just allowed to steal bananas, what if 10% of the population just decided that they were allowed to murder anybody that they felt like hadn't been sufficiently punished by the law courts? I suppose that'd be fine, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It is something that probably the majority of people do not understand. The majority of voters in this country probably do not understand second order effects.
It's racial inflation.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's
the fact that he spelled, and that was not a crude or stupid way to spell it out. That was in fact the only way you could spell it out. That's the way a college professor would explain this a college professor who didn't support crime, that is, and of course those don't exist. But that is the way
You see why I included that bit of the clip, right? Absolutely. This is not me quoting Kevin DeAnna out of context, by the way. He is always like this. He is always like this.
Oh dear.
Kevin DeAnna is convinced that he is the smartest fucking human being in existence.
He really is, isn't he?
Wow.
Wow. Oh dear.
It turns out that there's a page 2 of that economics textbook that you're referring to there, Kevin. It turns out, there's the second lesson, and maybe things are more complex than, well, if people steal bananas, then the price of bananas are going to, it's a second order effect. Nobody understands it. This is too galaxy brain for most people because I'm a fucking racist. That's, so it's violent, stupid. Yeah.
College professor back when we had real universities would explain why theft is bad and why a high trust society is good.
It's so stupid. It's,
Yeah, it's so good that somebody is making straightforward, comprehensible art for the masses to convince people that theft is wrong, because it's so terrible the way it's just widespread and just widely believed by almost everybody now that it's perfectly all right to just steal whatever you want. It's terrible the way that's happened.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's just it's just practically, it's just mainstream. That's what they teach in college classes now.
That's right. They teach you in college because your professors are pro theft. They just tell you in college, steal all the bananas you want, kids. It's good.
But only from white people. Brown and black people, you get to steal all the stuff from the white people. Steal all the bananas you want. That's exactly,
of course, if you try to stop brown people stealing whatever they want, you get called racist. So everybody's too afraid to do it. That's why we don't arrest people who commit violent crimes or steal things, because
absolutely.
if they're of certain ethnicities, you're not allowed to, because you get called politically correct.
Yeah, no, it's just that's how it goes. All right, one more quick clip. I'm just for the audience. I'm not gonna pause through this. We're just gonna listen to it and then have like one brief comment, and then just in case you think I am taking Kevin DeAnna out of context, and I am actually, there's a more subtle point that's being made in this scene. I'm going to play you the minute and 5 seconds that is the actual, this is the subtlety. This is the scene that he's referring to. I pulled it directly from the audio from the film. So this is the exact context of it. There are 3 kids. They're look to be like 15 or whatever. They pushed away on the bus. The bus driver feebly has no way of preventing teenagers who don't want to pay their bus fare from getting on the bus, So you need the big, strong, blonde American to come in and pay their fare for them because he has places to be, given what else we know about him. Anyway, we're talking about the film. We're not, anyway, but, and then he sits down next to them and he says this. This is the entire scene, I promise you.
Who we are and what we do has ramifications in our lives and in the lives of everyone around us. You don't understand? All right, pay attention. Let me explain this to you. If you get onto a bus and you don't pay your ticket, if you go to the movie theater, if you grab a banana at a grocery store and you don't pay, eventually the cost of everything will go up. If 10% doesn't pay, the cost will go up 10% to cover the loss. And that's not fair. You might not understand this, but think about it. I'm sure you'll come to the right decision. You're going to look back at this moment and realize that it is the luckiest you have ever been. Believe me.
Our perfectly relatable, justified protagonist, the lead of this film, absolutely adore, like everything he does. It's complete moral exemplar. Literally, it's like you didn't pay your $1.50 bus fare. This is the luckiest day of your life because I didn't murder you where you stand. That's literally the guy. All right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's such a pathetic fantasy, isn't it?
It is.
You tell those kids why and you explain it to them with economics, why they shouldn't behave badly and give you lip. And they walk away chastened, or they don't, and then later on you get to beat them up and break their wrists.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so pathetic.
This is like old man yelling at cloud. This is like, I just want them to look at him and go like, "Okay, boomer."
Exactly.
No, we've heard this before. I mean, it's such bullshit. Just imagine thinking that's like great cinema. Imagine thinking there's something subtle going on in that scene. Where's the subtlety? I mean, it's like it's so stupid. I don't know. Like, I'm sorry to do this episode. I'm sorry for everybody for this episode. This is just It's just people ranting. It's a verbal diarrhea. That's all this is.
It's just a bunch of racists who are trying to convince themselves that there's something of value and worth and substance in this absolute dog shit waste of time of a cheap, amateur, incompetent waste of time of a movie, because they want to like it and they want to be able to say it's good and they want to promote it and they want to have some kind of imprimatur of quality or worth or value or something on their racist fantasies of violence and vengeance against people that they hate. That's all this is.
Yeah, I mean, all right. Jack, what did we learn today?
Well, I don't know. I would say we've learned that fascists are not very good at movie appreciation.
No,
but
absolutely.
You know what? I think I probably would have guessed that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think it's actually kind of a feature of fascism is that they don't like. So I'm not talking about the movie. We're very broad overview here. You know, Armie Hammer in this film has to torment people weaker than he is, because in the fascist imagination, there is no one stronger than the fascist strongman. You know, it is that whole thing of like the enemy has to be both unbearably strong and completely pathetic at the same time. They have to be both weak and strong. And so it's like, I'm against this society that is oppressing the true Aryan greatness. But the moment that I push back at all, they fold immediately. This is the whole logic of how this fascist system works. So you can't put him against, like, again, we'll talk more about this. You can't, all of his victims have to be weakling, spineless cowards. They have to be people clearly below him in terms of their ability. He can't ever fight somebody who can fight back, because if there was somebody who could fight back, that would disprove the very logic of the fascist tendencies of the film.
Yes, absolutely. That's a very key point of talking about the film. He never experiences the slightest difficulty defeating anybody that comes up against him.
I mean, the whole point of the John Wick franchise, I don't know how many of those you've seen, but the whole point of the John Wick franchise is Keanu Reeves suffers a lot through those movies. I mean, it is absolutely brutal, the kinds of things that he goes through in order to get his revenge, in order to get that process. It's that's we like watching it because there is a catharsis in seeing a man that powerful and that go after somebody who's going after a lot of people who are really, really tough to beat, who nonetheless he can defeat because he's just that good. That's the point, is that he actually has challenging conflicts and cool action scenes that are cool because they're hard to film. They look like it's not like Superman beating up Kleenex for 2 hours, and that's, I mean, the true fascist movie is just like, it's just Armie Hammer putting his fist into brown people's faces for 2 hours. That's the whole movie, By the way, this movie is like 91 minutes long. It barely qualifies even as a full running time of a movie.
It's 90 minutes long, and 60% of it is pure padding. Is just
no.
Nothing.
The first hour is enough. There's no real content in most of the first hour. No, I agree. All right. Now, Jack and I are going to stop recording this episode, and then we're going to start recording a new episode. And I know it's very late where Jack is. We'll discuss that off mic. But that was our mainline episode about this very stupid movie and the propagandas to support it. Anyway, hopefully that was interesting to people. I thought it was worth an episode. But yeah, so that's it.
Okay, thanks for listening, everybody. As Daniel says, we are now going to record a bonus episode where we talk about the film as a film, to the extent that it even is a fucking film. And I think that's going to be fun. So if you want to hear that, then what you can do, there's a way. I'm delighted to be able to inform you.
Yeah,
there is a way.
How.
Yeah,
I didn't know there was a way. Come on. I thought we were just going to record it for ourselves, but other people can hear this? Okay.
And then just keep it and never release it. No, other people can hear it. And all they need to do is sign up to give either you or me, I mean, preferably me, obviously, but it works if they give it to you, $1 a month. And then they get access to the Patreon of the person they've decided to donate to, including not only, you're not going to fucking believe this, not only that bonus episode, the one we're just about to record, but all the previous ones as well that haven't yet been released. We do tend to release them eventually, but you, as a paying patron, get instant access to them way before they get released. So I think that might be a good use of your money, if you have any to spare.
Yes,
what with all these people stealing bananas.
Yeah, no matter how many people steal the podcast episodes, I'm pretty sure we'll never have to raise the price of the podcast by 10%.
Oh, yes. Well, you see, in classical economics, if 10% of the population begin to steal podcasts, then podcasts remain free.